How to factor polynomials quadratic in form. Example B. So we have 2x to the 2/3 power minus 9x to the 1/3 power plus 4. Before we get started, let's remind ourselves what quadratic in form looks like. That would be ax squared plus bx plus c. We intend the variable part to be squared in the first term and to the first power in the second term. So let's go ahead and see if we can rewrite our expression so that we have something to the second power in the first term and to the first power in the second term. Well, if we fill in x to the 1/3 power into that first term, that would get us x to the 2/3 power. Remember, the power to a power rule says that we can multiply those powers. And that would make sense since this would also be x to the 1/3 to the first power. So then if we let u equal x to the 1/3 power, we can begin our factoring by working with 2u squared minus 9u plus 4. So we'll continue factoring this expression by checking to see what would add to -9 and multiply to a times c. Since our a is not 1, we're going to take 2 and multiply it to 4 to get 8. -8 times -1 is +8, and -8 plus -1 is -9. So then we're going to use -8 and -1 as our numbers here. But since our leading coefficient is not 1, we're going to have to rewrite our middle term, giving us 2u squared minus 8u minus 1u plus 4. So these two values that we found, -8 and -1, substitute that second term. We continue by using factor by grouping, checking to see what's going to factor out of the first two terms and out of the second two terms. Well, we could factor out a 2u from the first two terms, and that would leave us with u minus 4. And factor out a -1 from the second two terms, and that would leave us with a u minus 4 as well. Remember, we want these two expressions to match so that we can take the GCF of this last line here, which would be u minus 4, and that'll leave us with 2u minus 1. And that's about as far as we can go with that u variable. Now we're going to change the variable back. Remember, u equaled x to the 1/3 power. So then our final answer would be x to the 1/3 minus 4 times 2 times x to the 1/3 minus 1. And that is all.